if you want to borrow money from the bank these days, it gets increasingly expensive to do so. At the same time though, if you're lucky enough to have cash sitting around, now is probably one of the best times to get the most bang for your buck in terms of the interest the banks pay you on your money. My name is Kai and I'm going to show you the best place where you can find the highest interest rates you can possibly get for your money. With this, let's get started. Now the website is called Raisin, and that basically is a marketplace that aggregates most of the places in Europe and UK. Unfortunately, they don't cover other parts of the world at this stage. Maybe one day they will, but basically it really aggregates different banks in different countries across UK and Europe and brings you the highest paying interest at a given time. So it's really updated in real time and it's free of charge. You don't have to register anything. And honestly, it's a super useful and powerful platform that I really recommend you. If you have cash sitting around, put it to work, because just keeping it in your bank account, like I have in my bank account that basically pays me zero interest, is just a waste of money. It basically loses value to inflation. So use something like Raisin to find out where you can put your money to maximum use. As it says over here, for a number of reasons, those interest rates differ from country to country, but being a European, even from the UK, I think it's possible to invest into Europe and you can really utilize the different interest rates that different countries offer and really benefit and maximize the return you get on your money. So that's a perfect place for that, because you might be living in Germany but only see the German offers, but you can also invest into other banks outside of Germany and get more return on your money. And that's really perfect. And obviously they're really trustworthy. They only list banks that are really solid and that protect your funds up to 100,000 euros as per EU standards. So that's really good to know. There's not some shady office, so it's really verified and good, trustworthy banks over there. They are not a bank, but they are based in Frankfurt, Germany, and work obviously with different banks. They are technically a marketplace, so to say, and they came out of the brand which previously used to be called Weltsparen, very German word, world saving basically. And yeah, they expanded over time and obviously included more countries and other regions as well, which is good to see. Obviously, it is something that people are actively looking for to maximize the return on their money. As I said, it's free of charge, and then basically all you have to do is basically select which country you're based in. If it's listed over here, maybe your country is not, so then unfortunately it is not applicable, but still it might be interesting for you just to check it out, see how it works. So let's start off, for example, with the UK. So you can click over here into the UK, and then you can see right away some of the week's top rates that are being offered across different banks. So right away I can see they're significantly higher than what we get in Europe, because obviously their interest rates, the central bank interest rates, is higher than what we have with the ECB in Europe. So naturally also the saving rates are higher, but that's just what it is. So basically from here I could go down and see some of the top banks. And also very interesting, you can change the different setups. For example, you have the fixed rate bonds, which is basically locked up. The interest won't change, as it says over here. Then you have also easy access that you can top up and withdraw anytime. So that's really without much lockup period, and I really like that. And then you have notice accounts where you can withdraw after a set notice period. So that's up to you what you want to do. You can also change the term length. You want 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and then of course the amount you're planning to invest. So depending on those parameters, those rates will change. And then you can see here right away, always being refreshed as soon as there is any changes. The highest paying bank at the moment in the UK is Ali United Bank, AUB UK. Again, never heard of that bank before. As you can see over here though, they are FSCS protected up to £85,000. So that's good. And they're paying a whopping 6.1% interest per year on your money. So that's definitely very nice. So you can see over here, with that money invested for a 1 year period, you would be getting £1,220. From here you could obviously click into more details. If you want to see something about the bank, they will give you some more backup over there, further details, what it is, and really the details, because some of them have a bit of fine print. So I always recommend really go through and see any notice period or any fee payments for early termination, what have you. So that's good to know as well. Deposit guarantee is always good. And then you can go into view details, click onto that. And once again, here you have all the details that you need to know. And if you're happy with this and you want to open an account with them, just head over to apply now. That will take you obviously across to the bank. And from there, you go ahead and start the registration process. And obviously, I suppose in return, Raisin will get a little kickback at no cost to you. But you obviously, through Raisin, found that offer, which is really good. And yeah, honestly, I really love that process. Make it very seamless, very easy. Never would have heard about the bank before. If I trust them and like them, I could just open an account with them, transfer my money, and boom, start putting my money to work. Now, of course, you might say, well, listen, those banks, I never heard of them. Sounds a little bit fishy. The second one, also Al Rayyan Bank, maybe for me, it doesn't sound very so trust inspiring, even though technically they are a protected company, they have been vetted, etc. But if I go down the list, I will see over here the first name that I know as a non-UK resident, Barclays, a bank we all heard about, of course. It's slightly less at 5.45, but maybe for me it might be worth it to have a name that's recognizable. I trust them, and then I can still go ahead and open an account with them. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. At the same time, you will see if you change the term, for example, to 2 years, immediately actually the interest will go down, because right now we have such a high interest that it's unlikely to continue for the next 2, 3, 4 years. So if the banks will guarantee you without changing the interest for 2 years, and then later on the central bank interest actually drops, they will pay you that interest out of their own pocket, so to say. So the longer you lock it in right now, obviously it will be slightly lower interest. At the same time though, if the real interest really goes down to close to zero, and you still get even slightly less than what you're getting right now, it might be worth it because you will still be benefiting from it, right? So it's something for you to think about it. How urgently do you need the money? In my case, I actually don't want to lock it up for any period, because actually I'm sitting on my cash, which I will use to deploy towards my mortgage payment to buy a new apartment. So that's why I don't want to lock it up any period. But if you don't need it anytime soon, you might as well lock it up for a 2-year period, get 0.2, 0.3% less interest, but be sure to get it for a 2-year period, or we might even change it to a 3-year period. So it's even slightly lower, 5.85, but still chances that in 3 years from now, we're still going to have relatively high interest is rather slim, I would say. I think we'll go way down to much lower interest that we used to have in previous years. So securing a 5.85% interest might actually be quite a good thing. And you will see also immediately the banks change, because not all the same banks offer the same high rates for a longer period. So you really have to play with it and see what you feel comfortable with and what makes the most sense for you. When we go to easy access, of course, you can see immediately the amount also goes down, because basically you're not locking up your money and you can withdraw it at a moment's notice. And that's why it's also significantly less interest. But yeah, you still have the flexibility. I mean, 4.51%, that's really good for money that you have readily available. As I said right now, in my country, in my bank in Lithuania, having that, I get 0% interest, which is really crazy. So that's definitely a much better option than just having your money sitting around in cash or in your bank, getting nothing for your money. So for me, that's really quite attractive. But of course, this rate is fluctuating and you're not locking it up. If tomorrow, highly unlikely, but if it was to happen that the central banks lower their rate significantly, it would go down to 1, 2%. That rate would immediately change afterwards as well. But if you locked it up for 1, 2 years, you will secure yourself that high interest rate. So once again, it's something you need to ask yourself, how urgently do I need the money versus how much do I value that long-term return that is guaranteed for me for at least 2 or 3 years. If you want to change the country, you can do that over here. Just go down and then select over here the country. So let's select, for example, Germany. Somehow it's only in German though, which is strange. But yeah, I guess you could select Google Translate to English, and then you get an idea if you live in Germany but don't speak German, for example, or from another country in Europe but don't speak German. You could just check it out over here. And also interesting, immediately you can see the rates are actually much less than they are in the UK. You also have more options over here: daily allowance, flex money, termination pay. So yeah, that's typical German manner. You have so many different options to select from. Again, you can change the duration, investment amount, the country creditworthiness, because here you're not just investing in the UK, but different countries in Europe, and different countries obviously have different creditworthiness. So if you invest, for example, in Bulgaria versus France, those countries have different creditworthiness, and it's obviously up to you what level of security you would like to have. So you can select that over here. So in this case, the way we've set it up over here, funnily enough, the top country right now paying the highest interest in Europe is beautiful Lithuania, where I'm based, and Medicinos Bankers. So there you get 4.5%, really not bad. But as I said, those percentages really can fluctuate on a daily basis, because how it works, I know some of those people working in those banks, they actually say we need a bit of deposits. So they will, for a few days, up the interest rate. This website gets a lot of traffic. People come in there, search for it. If they see a high interest, they lock up their money, send it over there. So the bank gets a lot of deposit, have a lot of cash inflow, which they can later on use to pass on as loans to other businesses and obviously make the money from it, right? How much they pay you, the saver, versus how much they charge the borrowers. So that's basically how it works. And if they have enough money to give out loans, they will reduce the rate. They will be somewhere much lower. Obviously, people won't use them and they use other banks. So that's really on a daily basis. You can basically check how it works. You can see sometimes tiny percentages, that makes all the difference. So you can see a number of banks all paying the same interest rate. If tomorrow this Banca Sistema goes from 4.4 to 4.51, it will be number one. People will be excited and start sending the money to this bank. So it's really interesting, very dynamic. And yeah, something to definitely check out. There's also a new competitor coming out, Check24, once again, a German website. that really does so many comparisons for insurances and all different kinds, but they also started adding for bank saving insurance basically. And it's a similar principle, but I think they only focus on the German market, German speakers. Again, I Google translated the website, but basically you have similar parameters here where you can choose by country how much you can get. You can change, the investment period you plan for. Does the country have withholding tax or not? That's also something to keep in mind. Some countries do have a withholding tax that you will have to pay on the interest income that you get. And yeah, once again, over here, you can then filter and see different banks, and very easy, nicely presented as well. So those two are valid options. So at the same time, I would probably recommend start with Raisin. They're more established. They have been doing this for so many years and definitely trustworthy. I generally just think it's a great website for you to definitely check it out and hopefully make the most out of your money that you have sitting around. Myself, I'm using Lightyear app, which is a broker that offers commission-free ETF trading and very low-cost stock trading and many other great things. But one of the great things they offer is also paying you interest on your idle cash that sits around. Currently, I get 3% on my euros. If you were to have pounds sitting there, you could get 4.5%. And the good thing is there's no lockup period. I could withdraw it at the moment's notice and use it however I want to. So that's really good because I don't want to have any lockup period, as I said, and I love having that flexibility. Next up, check out this video over here. As always, stay healthy, get wealthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.